special episode right now. It is the return of the CBoom show. First things first, shout out to everybody that we're with today.
Hey, I'm Alex. Welcome to the CBoom show. I am excited. Sports are back, picks are back, and it's my favorite sport, MMA. And along with us is another one of our friends remotely.
I'm Peter in my pajamas.
Right here. I held you up for a second. Say that again.
I'm Peter in my pajamas. What's up?
There we go. The CBoom team coming at you hot and heavy with the return of sports. Hopefully everyone was staying safe during this horrible time of the coronavirus. But yeah, shout out to our sponsor, Tatas Hot Sauce Emporium.
Boom.
Brings that flavor to your table. Personally, my favorite, the smoky. Love it on my chicken.
That's won an award. Last year it won a big award at a hot sauce show. Smoky's the good stuff.
There we go. All right, guys. So, that being said, everyone's wondering, what sports are we going to be doing today? The UFC, Mixed Martial Arts. Here we go. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I know Alex is excited. Peter, you're excited.
I'm excited. I like watching UFC. I miss the NFL, but it'll come back.
Sports are slowly going to come back over time. I mean, we see the States is opening up a lot of stuff. Here we want to make sure that we're doing things right. And, you know, there's still some sporting events going on. UFC is coming back with one big event on May 9th. Then they're planning 4 back-to-back events. Craziness.
Dana White was really adamant to get this going as fast as he could, so it should be interesting.
With or without ESPN, so let's be real, this is going to go down, it's going to happen. We just need everybody to be ready.
So, first thing we're going to review here is a quick review of the actual card, and man, is this a card. Then we're going to follow up with betting strategies.
Overall review of the fights with our top picks. It's going to be wild. Hopefully everybody's sitting down because this is going to be just insane. Here we go, everybody. So first things first, the card. So it's absolutely insane. We'll start from the bottom.
I mean, there really is no bottom in this card. Even the early prelims are going to be good fights.
You've got Ryan Spann and Sam Alvey. This is going to be hot and heavy. I'm really excited.
Smiling Sam Alvey, everybody knows that guy. He comes out with a smile on his face. He loves to fight. Does that make him very good? Not particularly, but he's actually pretty good in his own right. I can see why he's not a main card yet, but,
well,
I mean...
There's also fight history in the last couple. Ryan Spann's coming off a win against Devin Clark, and Sam Alvey's coming off of a 3-loss streak.
One of those 3 losses, which we'll get to a little bit later, is a little crazy. But let's move to the next bit. We got some other big fights, like on the prelims. We're going to have Cowboy Cerrone and Anthony Pettis. That's a crazy fight to be on a prelim.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good fight. I thought we were going in order.
We'll come back to that fight by fight.
I like the Cowboy there.
Just going bottom line.
It's gonna be crazy. And then on the main card we have several crazy big fights, including 2 title fights. Cejudo and Cruz.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, and yeah, I'm excited. I like Cruz a lot. I'm excited.
And Cejudo's a 2-division champ. Who knows? That's gonna be a good fight. I mean, Cruz's record is virtually impeccable. And then we got Ferguson and Gagey, which should have been Ferguson and Khabib for the 5th time.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. But let's stop jumping around because there's a lot to say about a lot of fights. So let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So from the very prelim fight here.
Well, before we get to that, we're going to go take a look at some of our strategies.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the order. It's the order of the things. Firstly, a lot of these fights are on semi-short notice or uncomfortable notice. Due to this whole COVID situation, people aren't aware of if they were going to be able to fight. If not, Francis Ngannou was supposed to fight, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks ago. And they've just been telling him, you know, try and stay in shape. But people can't go to gyms. They can't train properly. That short notice is going to make a lot of these fights a lot closer.
It could turn things the other way. It goes both ways because it could play an advantage for some, knowing that the opponent can't work out the way they can, because some of them do work out regularly from home, their home facilities. Donald Cerrone doesn't leave home. His whole facility's at his home. The ranch is his workout facility. Yeah. So for him, it's a big advantage. This whole thing is an advantage for Cerrone. Even though I've got Pettis, I'm just pointing that out. So some fighters do have a big advantage in this. Some fighters regularly make weight regardless, and it's not that much of a challenge for them. Tony Ferguson was the only fighter to show that they made weight a month ago. So, a lot of fighters take it as a positive thing, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, which is the whole turmoil aspect. I mean, you're going to see a lot of ups and downs. People that are favorites aren't really going to necessarily be that favorite. You got to look at how they train, and that's where we're going to take our opportunity and make multiple wins on this card.
Yeah, a lot of these guys have home gyms, but like working with their trainer, unless it's remotely. Was they having a Zoom meeting or something?
Well, exactly, because when you're with your trainer, unless you're doing like sparring or whatever like that, they can be watching you hit the bags. They can be watching you running, lifting weights, and over a webcam, to say the least, to say, hey, speed up, slow down. With the money that they have behind them and the UFC is throwing, especially for this fight, they have all the opportunity, all the technology. It's definitely not an issue to be training at home for 99% of these fighters.
For sure. But who are they going to spar with? Their wives?
At the same time, sparring's one thing of the fight. A lot of fighters, when they spar going into the fight, the last month of the fight, they're only sparring at 40 to 60% of their ability so that they don't risk an injury. So this is almost a good thing that they can't really spar to the fullest the 2 weeks before the fight or a month before. They had lots it's not their first fight.
Fighters have a lot of experience, so
all these ones do.
This whole card is veterans. It's there's no new fights on here, no new fighters, and it's a lot of experience. So the lack of sparring compared to the gain of absolutely everything else, it's just exciting.
It could be good, it could be very bad. A lot of these guys need that environment. We'll see how the training went for some of these guys.
Well, the ratings will be through the roof, though. People are dying for live sports.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Be careful with who and what you're streaming with. If you're trying to stream it online, if you're buying the fight, however you're doing it, it's going to be good.
So one thing that we're mentioning here is that a lot of these fights, because of the way training, like Donald Cerrone is going in with an advantage, but you're thinking Pettis. That leads us to multiple high-yield swaps. Both of these fighters are going to be well put together, and you can easily take...
I'm not swapping. That fight's a whole different scenario. If you're using that as an example, the reason why I think Pettis is because a lot of the times the future is based on past performance. And in the past, Anthony Pettis had an easy win over Cerrone in WEC or wherever they fought. It was like leg kicks to the stomach, and Cerrone was out. So...
Well, I'm just using it as an example because of an impossible advantage. If you see a good odd on an underdog,
Jeremy Stephens, he's a great one. He's fighting Calvin Kattar. That's going to be a great fight. Personally, without even looking at the odds, I like Jeremy Stephens to win the fight, regardless of how good Calvin Kattar is. I think Jeremy Stephens is due for a knockout punch win, get lucky and hit him. His odds are 3 or 3.5, something along that, off the top of my head.
Jeremy Stephens is around 3, yeah.
So that being said, it's absolutely amazing. Like, that's a great underdog. Wait for the odds to come where you can win by knockout. It's going to be through the roof. I can't wait.
Okay, well, what we were talking about is the swapping aspect, not the specific fight, right? So
that would be the swap. You would take one with Jeremy Stephens, one card. You'd match the card, and the swap would be you'd be taking Calvin Kattar, who still has a decent enough payout. Is that the swap you're referring to?
Yes, but you skipped the part about building the rest of the card.
Yeah, I get excited. I like to swap.
But basically what a high-yield swap is you build several tickets on a card and you have something that's a close fight between two veterans that you could see going either way and pays out both ways. Now, the reason I use the other fight is because it's much closer odds than 3.5 and 1.3. So it makes sense to swap it both, and you don't really lose off of either one. So long as the rest of the card...
I like taking the risk at the 3.5. I like the big money.
Still, yeah, swaps are good for the risk, which is the underdog portion. If you can get a good swap on an underdog, and this is the Jeremy Stephens, absolutely take that.
It's definitely worth it. It's one of those things where you want to have, when you're doing the swaps, depending how many fights you want to swap, because the swap works so well with sports like UFC, hockey, and baseball, where there's only two outcomes, win or loss. Sports like soccer, you have to win, loss, tie. Football, win, loss, tie. UFC, the swap is just a or B, win or loss. So it's good to have 5 or 6 fights. If you're swapping 2 fights, that means you're going to have to make 4 cards.
Think of it like an advanced version of boxing a ticket.
Yeah, it's the same thing as boxing a ticket. So however many games you want to skip, that's how many extra tickets you have to get. It's going to cost more, but it pays more. It's up to you how much you want to pay, how much you want to win. You know, it's a good opportunity.
So
hey guys, shout out to Wet Top, and we got a viewer.
Yeah,
hey, what's up?
3.
Yeah, everybody tuning in, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the follow on Twitter and on YouTube under CBoom. We come out with every week. We've got weekly sports picks when all the sports will be back. Until then, lots of UFC top betting action for you.
All right. Now, the last strategy we have here is what we call a countdown ticket, where you make essentially a really large good card and then start taking off your weakest links on your way down.
We're talking 8, 9, 10 picks to start on your bet slip. From there, you eliminate one pick. Make another bet slip, the exact same, eliminating another one. Eventually, you're going to have a bet slip down to 3 or 4. However, if your one big bet slip hits, all of your bet slips hit. It's a good opportunity. It is risky, but if the one ticket hits, they all hit. Even if you get 1, 2, 3 wrong, your other tickets can still hit.
Absolutely. And sometimes you don't even have to remove one per se. You can swap again on the countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
you
gonna
can
change
help.
your bets a little, right? You got a 3 ticket, 4 ticket, 5 ticket, but if your big ticket wins, then everything wins.
Hey,
Exactly. Payout central.
Here we go.
I get it.
Sorry, guys.
So we're going to start with our first fight of the night on the early prelims. We mentioned it earlier. Smiling Sam Alvey and Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann is probably coming into this a little bit stronger. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Specifically, there was a fight against Nogueira, which Alvey lost, and Spann won. So
It's crazy. I don't know. This fight's going to be one of those. Ryan Spann's coming off a win from Devin Clark, and Sam Alvey's coming off a couple of losses. That being said, it's tough to say Sam Alvey could be due for that big bang.
yeah, he's no slouch by any means. And if you take a look at this one, the odds here, it pays 1.25 for Spann. The odds aren't really there at 1.25. That's not that I don't consider that a worthwhile investment. However, Alvey pays 4.
I like taking Sam Alvey in that. I don't
That
see
could
why
be an
not.
underdog ticket, but Peter skipped it because the odds aren't there. And
Yeah.
I can't bet against the guy with a Superman tattoo on his chest.
Yeah, I heard he got that
Okay
from
there,
Krypton.
Peter.
He got that from Krypton directly.
The next fight you want to look at, you've got Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. This is a good fight. I'm excited.
These guys are both with good records, goodish records. I mean, you see Bryce Mitchell, who's 12-1, he's a submission guy, and Charles Rosa, who's 11-3, but against higher caliber. He's been in the UFC for a little while.
Both fighters are coming off a win. Bryce Mitchell coming off a win against Matt Sales, and Charles Rosa off Manny Bermudez.
Which is a good win.
That's a big win. That's a big, huge win. Manny Bermudez is top contender right now, so he's in the top 20.
So when we take a look at this, we see that Charles Rosa pays 2.5. Okay, and we see Bryce Mitchell pays 1.57. Now, Charles Rosa coming off of that win, paying 2.5 against Bryce Mitchell's only been in, I think this will be his 3rd UFC fight, if that, or 2nd.
Something along those lines.
I don't know. I could see Charles Rosa taking away a win, just not making it an easy day. You know what I mean?
I took Rosa at 2.5 just because the odds are there, and very well-rounded fighter, fought more experienced competition, as it says on the PowerPoint, because I'm not really familiar with a lot of UFC fighters. I just watch the fights, and then I see the replays just before the fight, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. And then I don't follow it as closely as you guys, but for the odds, 2.5 is great. That's one
a
of my
great
picks.
odd.
Yeah,
I love that
fight should be 1.8 apiece. Like, I could see Bryce being
I
a
don't know.
slight favorite, But the odds to pay this much for Rosa, take advantage of that.
It's going to be good. I'm excited. So then the next fight, we've got Vincent Luke versus Nico Price. This is number 2. They've already gone head-to-head. It's exciting.
The first one was a banger. You can watch it free. The UFC gave it away. Just YouTube it. No worries. It's a crazy fight. But Vincente Luque came through with a win.
Vincente Luque, whatever his name is coming off a loss against Stephen Thompson, where Nico Price is coming off a win against James Vick. Now, James Vick, I don't like him simply because of that whole fight and lead up to the fight he had with Gaethje, calling him a Homer Simpson and all that shit. So I don't like James Vick. So, however, James Vick is no slouch. He's a vet. So Nico Price taking a win over him is impressive. I like Nico.
See, I think that's a different level of competition, though. That was Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Not in his prime.
Yeah, coming off a title loss.
But this might be coming off a title loss. But personally, I don't think that was his prime. His prime was like his first fight with Woodley.
I feel
prior to that even.
I feel like Luque won the first time. He's gonna do it again.
I don't know.
See,
might go to a third.
However, if you take Luque, it pays 1.36. There's no point in that.
What for? Nico 3.25. Holla at your boy.
You know what? Anyone who takes Nico on this one, I'm rooting for you.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right.
Because the odds weren't there.
This is a crazy fight. I'm so excited.
I don't even know how this is on the prelims, let alone opening the prelims.
I've wanted to do this for so long, although I'm not taking... I like Uriah Hall.
Oh, I'm taking... What? No, I'm taking Souza all day.
I like Uriah Hall. Coming in 16-9
against
Souza, 26-8. It's a great fight.
Dude, Souza has more wins than Uriah Hall has fights.
But you ready to be mind blown? Watch this. Get ready. Hopefully everybody's sitting down. Uriah Hall is coming in off a win against Antonio Carlos Jr. Who? It doesn't matter. Simply because Ronaldo Souza is coming off 2 losses. Jan Blachowicz, okay, maybe. But Jack Hermanson? What? Enough said. Uriah Hall all day. Come on. How do you argue that? He lost to Hermanson.
Souza all day.
Come on.
I feel like this is Souza's...
Uriah Hall, shout out.
No.
You got this.
So, if you actually take a look at the rankings on UFC.com, Souza's actually ranked lower than Uriah Hall, and yet he's the favorite in betting odds. That should tell you something.
One of those things.
I don't know. This is going to be a crazy... Regardless of how this goes, this fight on the prelims, are you kidding me? This is...
For prelim, how the hell is this a prelim?
That's how good the card's going to be, guys.
This could be a main event fight right here. This is going to be an explosive...
This is an ESPN Fight Night main event, and it's opening the prelims.
All right, so then the next... Oh, actually...
Yeah, next one.
Carla Esparza versus Michelle Waterson. My one friend absolutely swears by Michelle Waterson in this. It's going to be a good fight.
I swear by it too.
Carla Esparza's coming off a win from Alexa Grasso, and Michelle Waterson's coming off a loss to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the former champ. She also has a win against Carolina Kowalkiewicz prior to Joanna. Whatever.
What's
okay.
that last name again?
Carolina. We'll go with that.
Carolina.
I'm excited. This should be a pretty good fight. You're going to see a lot of strikes, a lot of stand-up game in this. Unless somebody gets hit, they're going to try and...
Honestly, Carla Esparza's thing is she's a grappler. She's going up against a dynamic striker with range who's known for her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense. I don't think Esparza is the same league when she came in. She was the first champ of the division, but she got that from the Ultimate Fighter beating nobody I can think of that's even still in UFC women's division.
I hate to say it, but I can't think of it.
Well, I like strikers, so I went with Waterson. Plus, I like the odds at 2.25, and the size advantage and dynamic striker works really, really well for me. So I'm definitely taking Waterson here.
She's going to be able to keep that distance, and if it gets close, she's going to be able to scramble up. Much younger, she's got that size advantage.
Esparza's also a lot, she's taken a lot more damage in the past, 10 years. So,
yeah.
And, her chin isn't there like Michelle's is, and I like Michelle in this as well. But get ready for this fight. Peter, hopefully you're sitting down because this is going to blow you away. Olenek and Werdum. I can't wait to even talk about this fight. we're doomed. 2 years, where you been, bro? Where you been?
He's been at home working off them roids, bro.
Unbelievable. Even before that, before the 2-year ban, the ban started off a loss to Volkanov.
Yeah.
So that being said, he hasn't fought. In the last fight he had, he lost. Oleanick has 71 pro fights.
I think he's won something like 3 of his last 4 UFC fights too.
And between the two, there's 101 pro fights. There's so much experience between the two. Even though that's only 30 pro fights for Werdum, he was fighting in the jungle when he was like 7. Those count.
71 pro fights from Alexei Oleanick. 71. And he's still in the UFC, and he's won 3 of his 4 last fights, and I'm pretty sure he gassed out the other guy in his last fight. A much younger dude. I think it was the second round he got him by submission because the other guy
I absolutely hate Fabricio Werdum. Sorry to cut you off there, I just can't stand him.
You know how much Oleanick pays?
Yeah, for 3.5.
I skipped this one, 1.30, not for me.
No,
that's Werdum.
That's Werdum coming back off 2 years suspension. And prior to that, him and Kobe Covington almost got him. He threw a boomerang at Kobe.
So
remember that?
Yeah. So here's what this is, though. This is designed to be Verdum's comeback. But what I've seen is you come back off of steroids, you don't lose the size, you lose the muscle, which means you gas faster. And we have Alexei Oleanick, who's a great submission off his back. He'll be able, if this thing tires out, I could see Oleanick taking this. At 3.5.
Oleanick takes it either way. Either way, Alexei Oleanick, I'm pretty confident we'll take it either way.
I like having him on my card. Cheers to a big underdog.
There we go.
I think that's just incredible how many fights this guy's fought in the UFC. 71 pro fights.
That's not all UFC. That's not all UFC.
Amazing.
Hey Pete, that's not all UFC.
Yeah, but still pro fights,
Yeah,
right?
those are not amateur fights. Those are pro fights like in Alliance and stuff. Like he was around with Fedor.
That's
all right.
a lot of fighting.
It is. Guys, speaking of a lot of experience, you've got Anthony Pettis, who looks like an absolute stoner in that picture, against Donald Cerrone. He does. Look at him.
He kind of does. And Donald Cerrone looks like a cop. I should have had those pictures reversed, so he looks at him like, is he stoned?
But it's going to be a great fight. This is the second time they're going at it, like we said.
Early prelims again? Or on the prelims again?
Cerrone's coming off a loss to Conor McGregor, and Anthony Pettis is coming off a loss to Carlos Ferreira and Diaz. In this, personally, I like Anthony Pettis. His chin is going to be a lot stronger than Cerrone. Cerrone's older, has a lot more fights, been hit a lot more, and just had that horrible loss.
See, I feel like as long as Cerrone gets out of the first round, he wins. Pettis is...
I don't think he will. He's going to balloon up.
Pettis is a quitter.
You touch Cerrone, he balloons up. Remember,
I do agree with Alex, so I'd like to see Cerrone get out of the first round. I have him on there, but he's one of my picks that I'm willing to drop on one of my cards.
He just lost to Conor McGregor from shoulder taps.
Now, see, this is one
nobody can argue that.
This is one where I'm happy to do the swap. Both of them pay well. One pays 2.1, one pays 1.66. 1.4 is where I draw the line. I feel that's a reasonable spot. We've discussed that on other episodes. But at 1.66, it pays well for Pettis.
This is a good swap.
2.1, it pays well for
Cerrone.
Cerrone.
I can do a swap there, like a box, 1.66. I'm with that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good swap there. Now comes the main card. This is starting off with Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. I'm excited. Hardy's coming off a loss to Volkanov. And a no contest to Ben Beausoleil, I believe the name, something on those lines.
That was a kick to a downed opponent.
Yorgan De Castro is coming off a win to Justin Toffin.
Now, what people are not realizing is, like, this is a don't blink fight. Both of these guys are first round knockout guys. If it gets out of the first round, it's going 3 rounds and to decision, and whoever throws the most leg kicks, low kicks, because these guys will be tired.
For me, this is a swap fight. I'm taking the exact same card twice, and I'm taking this, both fighters, one on each. I'm excited.
I just skipped it, but both of them powerful knockout
Hardy
fighters.
played in the NFL.
I'm excited to see the fight.
Hardy played in the NFL.
Yeah, he played in the NFL, and the thing is, I feel like he gets a little too aggressive and jumps in a little too much. And the other guy won the Contender Series, so he had to be patient and have multiple fights against multiple opponents. Even though Hardy's coming in much better shape, if he comes in over aggressive, Jorgen's going to knock him out.
It's going to be good. I'm excited. The next fight, you've got Jeremy Stephens against Calvin Kattar. Jeremy Stephens is coming off a loss to Yair Rodriguez, a no contest to Yair Rodriguez, a loss to Zabit, Dominick.
That's the best pronunciation I've ever heard.
It's not bad.
Almost.
And Jose Aldo. So lots of losses, no contest. And then you've got Calvin Kattar coming in with a loss to Zabit, I'm not trying the name again, and a win against Ricardo Lamas. So it's a good, Jeremy Stephens did have top tier competition.
I feel like this one, it's not a proper example when you look at the win-losses. If you want to talk about they lost to Zabit, we'll agree that Zabit's going to be one of the next big guys.
He's the next Khabib.
But then let's look at the rest of his contention. He lost to Jose Aldo, one of the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? Like that's not.
I would argue that. However,
that's not a loss to be ashamed of. Like at that level of competition, other than Zabit, Calvin Kattar hasn't really fought anybody of known name, and he didn't win.
It's going to be a great fight. I'm excited. I'm looking for lots of strikes. Somebody's getting knocked out personally, and
for sure. And to be honest, Calvin Kattar still has a good chance in this fight.
Yeah, for sure.
But to see the odds this far apart,
something's a little fishy, and I like Stephens all day.
I like Stephens at 3.0. You got to take that one if that match is ranked that close together.
Yeah, exactly.
This should be like 1.8 and 2, and they're giving us 1.4 and 3. You take that 3 all day.
Exactly. Here's another key fight everybody needs to pay close attention to. You've got Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Francis Ngannou 13-3, where Rosenstruck is 10-0. Ngannou is coming off Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, and Curtis Blades wins.
I mean, we've seen Francis Ngannou. He's a top tier guy. Losses to Stipe when Stipe was the champ.
Actually,
and then he was in the world's worst fight against Derek Lewis, where I think Lewis won by leg kicks because he landed like 3. But in this fight, we're going to have to see if he's going to be gun shy again. Jairzinho Rosenstruck is a good striker. He's 10-0. He just knocked out Mark Hunt's protege in his UFC debut. You know what I mean? UFC likes its undefeated fighters. Do you think they can get another black monster up on top of the totem pole? Like, they love that. Look at Alistair Overeem, how they pushed him. I don't know. The UFC's got a thing for their heavyweights.
Sorry, undefeated fighter at 10-0. I have to go with 3.4.
I had to double check myself. I was right there. Those were 3 wins. However, his opponent Jairzinho is coming in with wins against Overeem and Arlovsky, two of the most fierce fighters to ever fight in the division in the weight class in any series of fighting ever. They are some of the fierce.
Lesnar.
It's Overeem is
and you got the guy knocking him out over here.
It's going to be crazy. Either way, I like Jairzinho in this fight.
I think his odds are way better than 3.4. I got to take Jairzinho again just on those odds. Come on.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And then you've got the next fight, the co-main event. I'm so excited for this. I've been saying this for a month. It's time to cruise with Dominick Cruz. I can't wait. You've got the challenger, Dominick Cruz, coming in against Triple C, Henry Cejudo, who's unfortunately going to lose those C's once he cruises with Dominick Cruz. Cruz is coming in off a loss to Cody Garbrandt. However, that's how he lost the title. Injury. He ended up landing some amazing jobs with both the UFC, ESPN, being a sports analyst and MMA analyst. Now it's time to get back in the cage. I'm excited. Dominick Cruz, this one's for you.
Now, Dominick Cruz was an amazing champion. I'll give you that. Yeah. He's been out of the game for a while, bro. The weight class has changed. The divisions changed. The competition's changed. It's gotten different. Cejudo's work ethic, he's an Olympic wrestler. Like, I'm not... When I say Olympic, he actually went to the Olympics. Like, this guy trains every day, all day. He knows what he's doing. He's hungry for competition.
I'm over the Triple C all day.
Well, here, let's take a better look at both here. Let's take a look at the challenger first.
So you've got the challenger, Dominick Cruz. He's coming in off a loss to Cody Garbrandt, but a win to Uriah Faber and TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah. Well, so does Cejudo.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We're talking. I thought we were talking the challenger.
Okay.
All right. So that being said, Dominick Cruz, shit is gonna get real. I'm so excited to see him back in the octagon. To be honest with you, he might not even get hit.
You know he's going to come back prepared. He's been sitting literally in the commentator's booth as close to ringside watching every single fighter fight for the last couple of years, announcing on it and how they could be doing better. He's literally studying it so that he can put it on the screen on ESPN. That's his job. We saw guys like Randy Couture come back, but is Dominick Cruz Randy Couture? He pays 2.87.
It's going to be good.
I don't think he should pay 2.87.
I like it.
That's a good payout for Cruz.
Then we've got the champion, Henry Cejudo, coming in 15-2. He pays 1.44. A lot of that rides on the two-division champion.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He was defending both belts at the same time, jumping back and forth between divisions. When you're jumping back and forth between divisions, it does get more difficult. And
it is impressive.
And to be a champion to the point that there was no other competition in the division, so they closed that division.
It's impressive. I like it.
He's won 11 of his last 12 fights. My thing is, I feel like I mentioned it earlier, he's coming in overly hungry. He might be overconfident. And Cruz is not a slouch. He'll pick up on that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
He pays 1.4.
And that's the thing, in this day and age, with how much have they trained, how's the work ethic, the overconfidence, no one's fought, anything can happen. So Peter definitely has to go with the challenger, 2.87.
Dominick Cruz, baby, time to cruise. All right, guys, the main event. You've got Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje.
Before we get to the main event, we want to give a shout out to Tatas Hot Sauce Emporium again.
Yeah.
Bringing that flavor to your table. You pour this on whatever you're serving that night on UFC 249. Your food will be just as hot as this event.
Well, I had some tacos the other night, and I was like, ooh, Tata.
That's spicy. You just need a little dab.
Hot.
Just a little bit. That's all you need. The challenger coming in, Justin Gaethje. Personally, I really like him. I think he's going to do well. I'm taking this fight up and down on every single card, and I'm swapping it. It can go either way. It could be a blink of an eye. Gaethje is coming in off wins off Cerrone, Barboza, and James Vick. And Ferguson's coming in off wins against Donald Cerrone, Kevin Lee,
and
Anthony Pettis.
He's actually on a 12-fight winning streak right now, which is the longest in division. We'll get to that when we talk about the champ. But this is one of the fights I want to point out about all the turmoil that we mentioned earlier with the short notice fights, not training properly. This wasn't even supposed to happen. This was supposed to be Ferguson and Khabib.
Khabib can't leave the country.
All of a sudden, it goes to Gaethje versus Poirier, and the winner of that is supposed to fight Ferguson. Then they skip Poirier entirely, give it to Gaethje. Gaethje has to fight 2 weeks ago. They cancel that, and now he has to fight again. This is turmoil. And what do you think Ferguson's doing the whole time? This is one of those ones where they've just gone through so much mental BS that this is going to be a much closer fight regardless. Like, these guys are both scrambled going in.
It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
But this is a huge opportunity for Gaethje. Huge.
Yeah.
He relies almost exclusively on his striking. That's okay. Even though he's a great wrestler. So we can look forward to some defensive wrestling
and
staying on the feet and striking.
The wrestling, it's going to be insane, though, because you have to be careful, because Tony Ferguson can do it from the bottom, the top, the left, the right, up, down, any angle. So even if you try and wrestle him down, try and hold him down, you know there could be a sharp elbow coming anyway.
He's won by that. He's won by elbows from the bottom.
But Gaethje can do anything as well. He can knock him out. He can throw a punch, an elbow. He can submit him. He can make him tap. He could do it all.
I just feel Ferguson uses his tools in just such a more dynamic fashion. He's on a 12-fight UFC winning streak. That is the longest in the division, and he's been on that streak. He's been the interim champ, twice now?
And that's huge, but I skipped it. I kind of like the challenger only because he has good defensive wrestling, and I like the strikers. But I agree that Tony Ferguson.
I took it both ways, but I like.
It's going to be a very good fight.
I like.
I don't like the 1.53. I just skipped it.
See,
Yeah.
I like Ferguson here. I feel like he's out of all the guys in the division to be afraid of right now. Ferguson is the beast. Khabib versus
So it's
Ferguson
safe
would be the
It's
ultimate
safe.
fight.
Well, I wouldn't say it's safe because Gaethje can come back. Gaethje can take more damage than Ferguson.
I don't know about that.
I personally, I think he could.
Well,
That'd be a
this
fun
is-
fact
this
we
is-
could look up
this
how
is-
many strikes absorbed per fight and stuff. But Gaethje can definitely take whatever Ferguson wants to throw at him.
I feel like this is going to be like the fight of the night. Any fight with Ferguson is the fight of the night.
It's going to be good.
But this is going to be a
It
great
sounds
one
like
to
you
go
boys
for.
have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It can go either way. On my bets, I took it both ways. Personally, I think Gaethje has an edge on it. He has nothing to lose. Nothing to lose at all. If Ferguson loses this, he loses his interim belt and a title shot. Gaethje loses, his ranking doesn't move.
I feel Ferguson, like you said, was ready a month ago. He's still ready. He's training at home, throwing blocks. Which brings us to our picks.
So these here are Alex's top picks in no specific order. These are some picks that he liked. So go ahead, Alex.
All right. Well, I was going to go with a little bit of the countdown and swap method. So what I wanted to do was have 4 very solid picks. I feel Tony Ferguson is a very good pick there. I feel he's the more prepped of the two, just given the time. Michelle Waterson at 2.25, great underdog pick there. I also like Henry Cejudo at 1.44 and Ronaldo Souza at 1.80. That pays out 8.98 times your wager, which is kind of low. But this is where the countdown comes into effect. I also mentioned earlier Alexei Olenek, which pays 3.5, which brings me to 32 times my bet, well 31.9. And then you can add Jairzinho Rosenstruck at 3.4, which would be another 31.
Or that's one or the other.
Or
If
the
you
other.
add both, it would be the
It would
one
be
amount
100.
times the other wager 3.4.
Yeah.
So it's up to you how little you want to risk.
Yeah, so you can stack those, or you can put those in a swap, or you can do kind of a both those, countdown and a swap.
Now get ready, guys. Here's some crazy dogs. Lots of fun. This is what I like here. Jeremy Stevens, Michelle Waterson. Greg Hardy, I like to swap that. Dominick Cruz, Anthony Pettis could also be swapped. Olenek could be swapped. What's showing on the screen is 173 per unit. It's up to you. The following fights would also be included on there. The Ngannou and Ferguson, those will be swapped 1,000%. Swapping 2 fights, regardless of how many you have on your slip, you will need to make 4 bet slips. Swapping 2 fights, 5 fights, whatever, you're looking to win 1 card minimum. That being said, those are mine. Lots of fights I like. Those are my favorite on there.
Peter, do you have any picks you wanted to point out?
I like Rosa. I like Michelle Waterson. I put Cerrone in on the ticket, but I could drop him. I like Stevens, Rosenkirk, undefeated 3.4, and Cruz. So if I do my 6 picks, it pays 345.79 to 1. But if I drop Cerrone, about 165 to 1. So there's some money there.
Yeah.
Not bad. Lots of opportunity, guys.
I mean, there's various ways to go in. Remember, not just with your bets, but right now, you got to make sure that you stay safe.
I might even follow one CBoom ticket and do an Alex ticket just for shiggles. But yeah, I put my pick in, and great show, guys. It's great to be back.
Great to be back, guys. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to have lots of episodes coming your way. You're going to catch us on Twitch under FareDM. That's FAREDM. You'll see us on Twitter and YouTube under CBoom. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe,
Follow
and all the fun stuff. Once again, shout out to our sponsor, Tatas Hot Sauce Emporium. Brings that flavor to your table. And we'll see everybody soon. Yeah?
And thanks for the donation, Winona.
Oh,
thanks for the donation, Winona.
Winona,
Winona.
we're counting on you. Thank you. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Big enough to forget I'm here. I need some food for my thoughts and I need some wealth. I need to find my way back. I need myself.